I am such a sucker for Utah football. JT Wistrcill, Locked On Utes. Let's do this again, JT. Last year, perhaps more infamously than famously at this point, I picked Utah to win the Big 12, to play in that title game against Kansas. Neither one made a bowl game. So, anyway, here we are, Groundhog's Day. And tiebreakers get wonky, so I'll hold off on. I previously said Kansas State, Texas Tech, but I'm throwing Utah into the fold. I'm going 10-2 for a second straight year. Death taxes in Utah football. It was quarterback centric, the issues for Utah last year. I think they fixed that. It's different. It's new. But they get a bunch of their biggest games at home. I don't think they lose till later in the year. I think they beat UCLA on the road week 1 in a very exciting game. I have no earthly idea why they're going to Laramie to play Wyoming in week 3. This is just danger with Texas Tech the following week. Ask them how dangerous it can be to go play in Wyoming. It's scary. So you've got the look ahead factor at Wyoming, but Texas Tech at home, Arizona State at home, BYU on the road, but I don't know who their quarterback is, as I talked about earlier on the show. Kansas State at home. I think their losses are at Baylor, and I'll take them to stumble at Kansas as well. There are a lot of different ways this can shake out to 10-2. I like the schedule for the Utes, JT. Are you going to talk me off the ledge?
Not at all, because guess what? I fell for the same thing last year, and if it goes south, I'll be right next to you in that ship as it goes down. But I do believe this Utah team is going to bounce back. You just had Jake Hatch on and talked about BYU, but now you are having on the best team in the state of Utah and talking about them. That will be the Utah Utes this season, and you mentioned why, Spencer. It's Devon Dampier, the only quarterback in college football last year to rush for 1,000 yards, throw for 2,500 yards. The player, not quarterback, the player who led college football in yards per carry at over 7 yards per carry. That's right. It wasn't Jeremiah Love. He was second. It was Devon Dampier, number 1, who was tied with John Mateer for the most forced missed tackles last year. Devon Dampier was. He's a dynamic dual threat quarterback. He was sacked just 5 times last year, despite playing some P4 teams. Now he's behind what might be the best offensive line, maybe even in college football. I think they're a top 10 unit, but either way, the best tackle duo in college football. I think this Utah team with some strong coaching on the defensive side of the ball. We know what Kyle Whittingham will bring. Also, Utah's new offensive coordinator, because last year's offense was so bad, pretty much everything had to go there, is Jason Beck, who last year with Devon Dampier, they were 4th in the country in yards per game. That quarterback, that offensive line, a nice running back too in Wayshawn Park, over 700 yards last year with Washington State. I really like this Utah team. Despite a few questions, I think this Utah team's bouncing back. I got them at 10-2 as well, Spencer.
Do you know the name of the head coach that is at New Mexico now, where Jason Beck just came from?
It's Jason Eck.
Jason Eck.
Idaho coach, who also just bodied a great Office parody for a ticket sales video. It's phenomenal.
Really?
Yes, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Oh, that's outstanding. Outstanding. Now, let me just play devil's advocate here for a moment. For those on YouTube, here are my Big 12 preseason power rankings. I've got Utah there at number 6.
You switched so fast from this when you released this not long ago.
Well, nothing's changed. Nothing.
Those are all 10-win teams on there?
No, those are not all. Iowa State is not a 10-win team.
Okay.
Baylor is not a 10-win team. Arizona State is not a 10-win team. I think there are 3 10-win teams here. Look, preseason power rankings are one thing. How your schedule shakes out and your resulting record's another. So the devil's advocate play for Utah this year is they have my preseason number 1 team in Texas Tech on their schedule. Preseason number 2 and reigning champs on their schedule, Arizona State. Preseason number 3, Kansas State on the schedule. Preseason number 5 on the schedule. So this is, and they have to play BYU on the road. I don't need to explain how difficult that game could wind up being, no matter the records. So how prepared do you feel this Utah football team is to not just avoid a week 1 stumble against Nico Iamaleava and UCLA, but to go toe-to-toe with teams that I think are 3 of the 5 to 6 best in this conference.
I think they're very well equipped. I'll also just add this. You mentioned those top 3 teams in your rankings. All of them have to come to Salt Lake City. The toughest road game Utah has is they do have to go to Waco, take on Baylor, but so many of those home games I mentioned against some of the best teams. And if you take out last season, this Utah team has been phenomenal inside of Rice-Eccles Stadium. When they have their starting quarterback available, especially, they haven't lost him forever. Because even when Oregon beat him a few years back, that was with Rice and Barnes. So this home field advantage for Utah is absolutely real. This is a team, too. They're built with that strength in the trenches. So I believe right away that's something that's going to allow them to have that success, too. And this is just a team with a culture and identity that so many of those games, how many one-score games last year too, Spencer? That was another thing where it's just like, oh, if you just had the quarterback, now they do. And this Utah team, I just think they have so much potential. No back-to-back road games either. I'll add that as well too. They're all broken up by byes and things of that nature. So I really think it sets this team up nicely. The final 3 games is a very difficult stretch where you go Baylor, Kansas State, Baylor, and then Kansas. That's a very daunting stretch. But this Utah team has the talent we talked about offensively. I think it's going to be one of the best linebacking cores in the Big 12. Absolutely. One of the best safety duos in the country, a really strong cornerback room, some questions along the defensive line, but I think they'll be fine against the run. Just need to rush the passer better. But Morgan Scalley is one of the best DCs in the country. That's the reason he's the head coach in waiting too. So I just trust this Utah team. The few questions they have, wide receiver, defensive line, I trust them to figure those out enough. And the positives this team has, I think they're going to overcome those negatives. And I do think they end up in Arlington, and I think they got a great shot. Heck, I picked them to win the conference. I'm not afraid to say that right here. I think they are going to beat Texas Tech not once, but twice in that Big 12 title game. And Kyle Whittingham gets to go out on top like he likes to.
Whoa. Those are my Red Raiders you're talking about. You will speak of them with respect. So
you have them losing to Utah, right?
One time.
Yeah.
In Salt Lake City. I didn't say anything about beating Texas Tech twice. I'm sorry, Texas Tech fans. I'm sorry you had to hear that. I didn't want your ears to be to be assaulted with such vitriol from JT Wistrcill. Anyway, you mentioned the 1 possession losses last year. 8 points at Arizona State, 6 points against TCU, 3 points at Houston, 1 point against BYU, 3 points against Iowa State. It wasn't good. If Utah has to turn half of those around and they're suddenly well over 500. And then you figure, well, wait a minute. If they do have better quarterback play, are they really going to lose to a Colorado team that I think is a pullback from a year ago? No, I don't really think so. Are they really going to lose to Arizona or a team of that caliber? No. So the schedule goes at UCLA, Cal Poly, at Wyoming, Texas Tech, at West Virginia, Arizona State, at BYU, Colorado, Cincinnati, at Baylor. That could be a loss. Kansas State, that could be a loss, but you're at home. I'm not going to do that. At Kansas. You keep Devon Dampier healthy. 10-2. 10-2. What do you think is the floor for this Utah team?
If everyone's healthy, I'd say 8-4. Like if there's injuries, obviously anything can happen.
But the floor is over their win total of 7.5, according to our friends at FanDuel.
I'm confident, man.
He said that.
I like this team. Two projected offensive tackles. Both are projected offensive tackles. First round picks.
This is true.
Games are won and lost in the trenches. Ask your buddies in the SEC.
My buddies.
You're locked on college football. You're friends with everyone, Spencer. Everyone loves you.
Okay. I thought there was an implication of a bias